Salvete omnes. For this lesson, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go through the Lord's Prayer in Latin, line by line, and learn to read it. If you are familiar with the text, you should be able to learn from it very rapidly. This text will help us learn a new aspect of verbs, mood. The easiest to understand is the imperative mood. This is used when we make requests, demands, commands, etc. For example, saying, "Give me money." The other mood is called the subjunctive and has too many uses to cover in one video, but the use we will see here is like saying, "May the force be with you." It is similar to a command, but there is uncertainty of whether it can be carried out. Let's compare. You give me money, indicative. Give me money, imperative. May you get lots of money, subjunctive. This is a really difficult concept for English speakers to grasp, which is why I thought it best to introduce it through this familiar text. But remember, it's not something that you can learn just from watching one video. This is just a warm-up. The first line of the prayer starts out easy. Pater noster, qui es in caelis. The word pater is very close to father, right? This follows exactly the sound change denoted by Grimm's law, which states that P's change to F's and T's to TH's. This law was actually conceived by Jacob Grimm of the Brothers Grimm, who first presented the sound change systematically. And do you remember how to say we? Nos. So pater noster means our father. Now, from what you've learned in the previous lessons, you can probably guess that the rest means who is in heaven. But there's a little twist. Since we are talking about where he is located, we should use in plus the ablative, right? Caelum is a second declension noun, so the ablative form is caelo. But this prayer uses the plural ablative form, caelis. So this line is really our Father who is in the heavens. The next line is sanctificetur nomen tuum. This doesn't seem so foreign to us now, does it? The words nomen tuum are obviously your name. Nomen is related to nominate, but the tuum is deceptive because nomen is a third declension neutral noun. Remember how vinum was the same in both the nominative and accusative form? Tuum is the same when modifying a neutral noun. The nominative and accusative form are the same. So nomen tuum could be either the subject or object. Now, we know that this means hallowed be your name, which is passive. But to understand the Latin better, let's think of it as may your name be sanctified, because it's a subjunctive passive form. This means, though, that nomen tuum is the subject, because in passive sentences, the noun being acted upon becomes the subject. For example, in active sentences we say, the police arrested the thief. But the passive would be, the thief was arrested by the police, and the thief is now the subject of the sentence. The subjunctive is easy to form for verbs that end in are. We switch the a to an e and add the normal ending. So instead of sanctificat, it's sanctificate. However, sanctifico becomes sanctificem, since the first person case doesn't really have an ending. Then, as you can see, to form the passive, we just add the suffix ur for the third person. The third line is adveniat regnum tuum. We know that verbs in the indicative mood can only end in at, et, or it. So this must be another subjunctive form. This verb is advenire. So the rule for this case is we switch the e to an ia and add the normal ending. The English word advent is derived from this, so advenire means to arrive. And the second word, regnum, gives us regency, regicide, and reign in English, and means kingdom. So this line means, may your kingdom arrive. We continue with fiat voluntas tua. We know that volo means I want, and if you recall, the way to remember this was that we volunteer for the things we want to do. Voluntas is a third declension noun meaning the things we want to do, or our will. And from tua, we can see that this is a feminine noun, and since tua is the nominative form, we know that fiat is a passive verb. This is actually the word we learned in the question, quid facit? So what would the subjunctive be? Faciat. Sadly though, this verb is irregular in the passive form. So instead of faciatur, it becomes fiat. And what did quid facit mean? What are you doing? So this line means, may your will be done. It has both the subjunctive and the passive form. Okay, we made it through the hardest part. The next line is easy. Sicut in caelo et in terra. The only new word here is sicut, which means just like or as. And notice that now the word for heaven is singular. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie. Here's our first imperative form. In the lessons we used dat, das, and do, but here we see just da. The imperative is really easy. Just subtract the re from the infinitive and you've got it. So already we can say da, give, scribe, write, lege, read. In the line above, in front of da, we see 3 words ending in m. So we know these things are what is being demanded. Panis is bread, another third declension noun. It might help to remember this by thinking the bread is in the pantry, and nostrum is obviously the accusative form of noster. The next word we actually also have in English, quotidian, which means daily. It's like the quota of a day. So this first part means give our daily bread. Then we have nobis, and since this starts with no, you can probably guess that it has something to do with we. This is the dative pronoun, so it means to us. Remember, we use the dative case to indicate who is the recipient of the giving, and hodie is a combination of hoc plus die, or this day. Et dimitte nobis debita nostra. Dimitte means dismiss. It's as if someone who just had a Novocaine injection is trying to say the word. And debita is also exactly what it sounds like, debts. These 2 words, of course, have other meanings, and here they're being used figuratively. As you would expect now, nostra is also just another form of noster. It's the plural neutral. So this phrase means, cast away from us our offenses. There are a lot of similar words in the next sentence. Sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris. Here's the word sicut again, which means just like or as. And now the word for dismiss is conjugated for we. Remember, verbs end in us when conjugated for we. Now, debita has changed to debitoribus. This is the dative plural form of debitor, which means debtor, just as you'd guess. And as you certainly also guessed, nostris is the dative plural form of noster. So this line means, just as we cast away from our offenders. The object is left unstated since it is the same as the previous line. The next line is very close to English. Et ne nos inducas in tentationem. The word ne usually indicates that a subjunctive verb is coming. It negates the verb just like non, but with a subjunctive verb it has a meaning more like that you not. Inducas is the subjunctive form of inducere. Note that the vowel changed to a long a. It's similar to meaning to induct, meaning lead into or introduce. And note that tentationem is the accusative form, not ablative, so it means into temptation. Altogether then, this means, and lead us not into temptation. The final line is also very close to English. Sed libera nos a malo. Another imperative form. Liberare obviously means liberate or free, and the root mal is in many English words like malevolent, malicious, etc., meaning evil. So we end with, but liberate us from evil. And here's the full text. Pater noster, qui es in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in caelo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris. Et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo.